All right, let's start again. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning from wherever you're watching us from. Thank you for being here with us. In front of us, we have our enabled speaker by the name Sigu Magwa. He's been a very eloquent speaker for the most of the talks that he's been able to guide us through. He's been a speaker at last year's conference, at the Elixir conference. And more to that, I think he can be able to introduce himself better. Feel free to ask any questions. I believe he's going to guide us on when we can send in the questions. Take the lead now, Sigu. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Juliet. Confirm you can hear me.
Loud and clear.
Awesome. So let's get started with this. So I now know how to share my screen. There you go. Tell me what you see.
Sigu Magwa.
Oh, and my face. Awesome. My pretty face. So let's get started. My name is Sigu Magwa. That's my Twitter handle right there at S_IGU. I like training software, and I also write code. That's my tagline, any day, anytime. So today, I appreciate your coming here and your patience, because we are going to talk about restaurants today. So this is the day that all those who program are being brought into one call and start discussing restaurants, and everyone eats, right? So at one point or another, you have to either drive through, sit down and eat or something. So you might understand how restaurants operate. So right now, this is a restaurant. I don't know why this guy is standing on a countertop for one reason or another. They are standing on wherever they should be cooking. There's just a lot of mess in here, and we are going to talk about some of this. And to talk about this, let's start with this guy. No, this is the middle. So let's talk about this. Awesome. So on my screen, you can see, let's start from this extreme end. Let's call him Mr. Blue. So Mr. Blue will be our waiter. So whenever you come in, the waiter will come, taking your orders. As you can see, Mr. Blue is taking orders and they're writing them down. After Mr. Blue takes your orders, they take them to the chef. And yeah, you can see the chef with holding, I think that's cooking oil. And there's a lot of fire coming through. Then now we are back to our person who takes your order to you. I'm sorry, I could not get a photo of our waiter carrying a cooked food. So there our waiter comes with our cooked food. Assume the green bottle contains cooked food. And at the end of it all, we consume it. That's like what happens in a typical restaurant. So everything is fine at this point until she comes in. Yeah. The beautiful Mrs. or Miss Blue. Now, if you realize Miss Blue is a little official, and don't be fooled by the smile, Miss Blue wants results. Miss Blue wants to see, she wants you to tell them how many and what time. So Miss Blue's concern at this point is, I need to know how long a customer spends before they get their food and how much they eat. That is what Miss Blue wants. So now let's go back to this. If Miss Blue is our manager or our accountant or whoever she is, and now she's requesting for how long a customer takes, then the chain needs to be modified a bit. The chain needs to be modified so that we can total up the time and let them know how long it took. So Miss Blue doesn't need to be in the messy kitchen. She can be seated somewhere, but now knows exactly what's going on. So we can model this in a way that whenever Mr. Blue comes to take in the orders, they write it down, taking orders. Once they're done, they will tell you, order taken. Whenever the chef receives an order, they will tell you, order received. Once they're done, order ready. our guy here picks up the order picked, delivers it, order delivered. And whenever they tell you this, they will give you the amount of time that it took whenever they finish it up. So don't forget about this. This is going to be very important as we move. And today, actually, we are going to talk about observability in our Elixir applications. That's exactly what Ms. Blue is trying to achieve. So I thought about how best to deliver this to those who are getting started in Elixir and the intermediates. And I found it, I thought of a way of making this a little interesting by leveraging on the existing observabilities that has already been done. So the journey today is going to be more of showing you an existing tool and also going deep into how other people have implemented observability and telemetry in their Elixir applications. So we'll start with a very interesting client project that we did before. So I'll stop sharing this. This is the end of my slides. So now we're going to be between the browser and the terminal, the browser, the terminal. Feel free to interrupt me and ask questions. Trust me, I might not have all the answers. And if I don't, we'll Google it together and find something out. So that's the end of my slides. Do I have any more? I should not be having. Yeah, that's the end of my slides. So let's stop sharing this. Why do you stop sharing? Oh, there you go. And start sharing the terminal. Here you are. Can you see my terminal?
Yes, we can.
Awesome. So this is a project, and the client requirement for this, but it's an open source project, so I can freely talk about it. The client requirement was that we use MQTT, which we use something called Tortoise to do communications. So at one point we were trying something out and we could not figure out why it's not working. So I'll share this with you. IEX, let's just get into IEX mix. Then you can see we have info logged client ID is this, MQTT host is on the local host, port and that. So we have a library called Tortoise that can send MQTT requests. Now, if we do publish, I think we can do the help right here. Awesome, works. So publish takes in a client ID, the topic, and a payload, and a number of options. Then it's going to publish an MQTT message to a broker. So let's assume we have a broker. Let's assume we have everything else. Now, from this, you can see that our client ID is sfractal 2020, right? So we can do tortoise.publish sfractal 2020, then give it something. So let's try that out. I'll clear this. Tortoise.publish. Then give it was sfractal 2020. Then the message is hi. But we are getting a problem. And the problem is that we have a non-connection, which means we are not able to reach out to this client. So this took us a while to try and debug, and I'm going to show you how exactly we managed to debug this. So Elixir comes with, an alarm comes with something called Observer. So the Observer allows you to look into the internals of the operating application. So let's open up the Observer for this particular application. Observer.start. I'll need to share this screen also. So I think Zoom allows you to, yes, do multiple shares. Now you can see that. I just typed in observer.start. Now, have I shared multiple or it's just one window? I'm not sure.
We can see one window at the moment.
Just one window.
Yes.
All right, no problem. I think I'll just continue with this. So I typed in observer.start. So let's start by explaining what observer does or what it is. So we have system, load charts, memory allocators. Let's just jump straight to application. I'll explain everything else. Applications is the list of all the applications that were started when you run IEX mix. So let's look for our application. What's the name of our application again? Tortoise? No, that was not our application. Mix. No, that's not it. Shoehorn runtime. What is the application name again? Tortoise logger mix. So basically, this is showing you the supervision tree, if you know about the supervision tree. So this shows you the supervision trees of your application at this point. So we were thinking that maybe one of the children that we're starting is being shut down. So we wanted to confirm if it's still alive or not. Why am I not seeing my application? What's my application name, by the way? We can confirm that. New share. Our application name should be firmware. Perfect. So I can go start. It's called firmware. So I can do and start observer again. Then share observer. Feel free to ask questions while we look through. So where is firmware? Firmware is right here. So firmware is starting something called MQTT supervisor, which starts this. So if you open up this process, you're going to find process information, messages, dictionary. So the process information tells you more about that process. Messages is any message that has ever been sent to it. I'm not sure about what dictionary is, stack trace, and then we have our state. So if you look into our state, it shows you the current state of this application. Look properly into expand this term. Let's open this term. You find that. Yes, Alfred? Oh, sorry. Sorry about that. So if you look into it, you will find out that formatting, check on this, then there's an tortoise connection. You will find that it's actually a string and not an atom. So we typed in an atom, but it's supposed to be a string. So let's go back to IEX and try using this particular string. Tortoise, I need to share this. Tortoise.publish. If anyone has a question, just feel free to ask. Hi. So now it's not timing out. That's how we managed to find out the bug. By checking through the observer, we were able to find out that actually the child that is being started is being identified by a string and not an atom. So I'll take you through what observer is and different parameters of the observer. So I'll just go through and share two things. I'll need to share this observer and that. Share, perfect. Perfect. So I hope you can see two things, the observer and the documentation for the observer. Can you confirm? No, just the observer. Okay, perfect. So let's do another share. How about if I click on that? Oh, here you are.
No change there. Just the applications tab of the observer window.
Okay, how about now?
Now documentation, and now, yeah, you can see both now.
Oh, perfect. So let's go through the documentation of the observer in Alan and just go through each and everything. So the first tab is the system tab. So this gives you the general information about your system. It's going to tell you the OTP version, it's 25, and every other information that you might need about your system. It's a general overview, memory usage, the statistics of the I/O, the CPU usage, and all that. The next one is the load charts. Click on load charts. So it displays the scheduler utilization, the totals, processes, atom, binary, all that. You'll see them right here. Then the memory usage and the IO usage. Memory allocators, I'll just move quick because we might not need to get into the detail. I rarely use this first three, honestly speaking, at this point. So if you might ever need to use it, the memory allocators are here. So for those who do in-depth memory allocation stuff, then you can check on the memory allocators. Then the application is what I just explained. According to the documentation, as you can see, it represents the application information. If you select an application on the left, right here, it's going to display its supervisor tree, its supervision tree. So click on Elixir. This is click. Why are we not updating? Okay, yeah. So Elixir starts few stuff, then the Elixir supervisor and the code server and the Elixir config. Firmware, we start up the supervisor, which starts up the connection supervisor. The state machine, this is what started. Hex starts as supervisor, which starts the cache, the server, the state. You can see the drill. We have processes, which is a list of all the processes that are currently running. So it will show you the PID, the memory, the message queue, and all that. So let's, interestingly, again, go back into our firmware, what we had here, and open up this. So process information, again, shows you the information about that particular process. Messages is whenever you send a message, which is the alarm messages, it's going to show up in here. Dictionaries, I'll have to read that. Not used it before. Anyone who knows about it can let me know. Traces, the dictionaries. Here you go, process dictionary. So it just states the same exact thing. The state is usually shows you what is currently stored in that particular process. So that's where we clicked and we were able to find out what our bug was. I don't know if anyone has any question about the observer so far. And before we move to the next thing. Awesome. So I'll do a quick introduction of the next thing. Whenever you run a Phoenix application, logs usually come through into your terminal. Have you ever wondered where the logs come from and how they're written? Because if you search through the code base, you'll never find it written log.info, log.debug, and all that. So let's go into a journey of finding out exactly where logs in Phoenix come from. So we're going to dig into the source code of Phoenix to find out exactly how this happens. Now we're going to tie this back to the restaurant application that we talked about. Okay, I hope that's exciting enough for you. So I'll stop sharing this. Sorry if I'm jumping around so much. This is exactly what I planned to do, jump around. Now I need to share. My terminal. Terminal share. I'll need to come here. So mix Phoenix server. I'll start another server for another particular project. So this is usually a very interesting Tetris project. I can quickly show you what happens on the Tetris project. New share. I've just started the server, so I'll show you localhost 4000. Yep, here you go. I can sign in with the handle, Sigu, sign in and play a game. Start the game. So it's a Tetris game. Source code is available online. And while I'm doing this, there's a reason I'm doing this. I would like we're going back to our terminal so that you can see what I'm talking about. I can stop and pause right there. So while all that was happening, we were able to see processing with this index. Can you see this? So let's find out where this comes from. It's got to do with telemetry in Phoenix. Okay, so I'll just copy this, processing with, go to the Phoenix GitHub and search.
Yeah, we can't see that.
Oh, sorry. Let me share. There you go. I'm now at Phoenix Framework on GitHub. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Yeah, so let's just search for that and see the results. Awesome. So these are the guides which we don't want. And Phoenix has something called a logger. And logger has processing with. These are the tests. So this looks like the culprit. So you can open this up. Okay. This is a function called Phoenix router dispatch start. So before we dig deep into this, let's go back to the restaurant. Okay. So if we go back to our restaurant, you remember that, go back to our restaurant right here. If Mr. Blue is done with receiving the order, they're supposed to write it down, order taken, and give it to the chef. When the chef receives it, the chef will write down order received, order ready, order picked. So we're going to do that all the way to the bottom. So at the end of the day, we will be able to know exactly how long it took to take the orders, how long it took to cook, how long it took to pick up the order and give it to the client. And we can also do a summation of the same. So Phoenix is also trying to do the same. And this is the point I now start talking about telemetry. So in Phoenix telemetry, I'll close this. Telemetry. No, I do not want that. I do not want Phoenix logger. I want to check on Phoenix telemetry. So just allow me to check on Phoenix telemetry. Here you go. Can you see my screen?
Yep.
Awesome. So telemetry is when you record something so that you can, let's say, log it out or store it to the server. I think it would be a good idea if I just took this terminal and brought it here so I can share both. Okay, so the telemetry library, which is part of the bin, allows you to emit events at various stages of the life cycle. Can you relate now? So you can say order received, this is done, this is done. So it allows you to emit an event, okay? Now you can respond to those events or you can just ignore the events depending on what you want. Later on, you can decide to aggregate or just send them to a reporting destination. We'll also discuss about reporting destinations. So telemetry stores events by their name in the ETS table. I think I'm curious enough to understand or to see this. So let's just go back again. Start our observer. I'll share. Now I should be able to share both the terminal. This. Yes, perfect. Go back to the terminal, start the observer. Observer. observer.start. Oh, typo. I didn't start this with IEX. Sorry. I need to do that. So sorry. Then now I can do observer.start. So I'm just about to prove this. Telemetry stores events in their name in an ETS table. So let's share the screen again. I should be right here. Perfect. Tables, table viewer. Here you go. So the table viewer should give us the list of all the telemetries. That looks like it should be called telemetry or something.
Well, unajua zingine kuna Zoom meeting kuna joiningi kama haijakumiwa tu bana.
We can hear you. Telemetry handler table, perfect. So if I double click on this, I can see the handlers. I don't know if you're able to see it. Are you able to see what I can see? I can see handler.
We can just see the table viewer list with
The table
object
viewer.
size. and
So, oh geez, I need to share. Should I just share the whole screen? I think that would be better.
yeah.
Yeah. Share screen 2. How do I share? Yes, perfect. Now let's hope you can see it. Or what are you looking at?
Well, yeah, friend. France.
Has he lost connection?
I thought it was me. Yeah, we probably lost him.
Yeah, I've been speaking to myself. Sorry, guys. Can you hear me now?
Yep. Welcome back.
Yeah, sorry about that. Share this. Okay, can you see the observer?
Yep.
Awesome. So I found out it's called telemetry handler table. If I open that up, then I can see there are a couple of handlers. Awesome. There's a handler. I can do this. Channel handled in this is the Elixir Phoenix logger. Phoenix logger, channel joined, endpoint start, endpoint stop, error rendered, all these. They have their handler functions right here. Okay. So telemetry stores events by their names in the ETS table. We are able to see that. So how does it, along with the handler, then when the given event is executed, it looks it up from the ETS and just calls it. Okay. So a telemetry, since Phoenix 1.5, it comes with a telemetry supervisor, which allows you to start up the metrics that you would want to see in your application. So I'll show you how exactly you can consume this. There are different events. So for the telemetry events, you usually give it a name, the measurements, and any other metadata. Name, measurements, and any other metadata. So it can be the duration, it can be the measurements can be the duration or any other thing that you would wish to do. It can be a count of, let's say, 3 users, 4 users, etc. A Phoenix example of execute metrics. Let me just jump down to reporters. So the first report we have is
Nataka kuuliza nini?
So live
Nini
dashboard,
how do you call?
I think I'm speaking on.
Enda aje.
Yeah, you have to mute Magwa.
Novice live inakuwa pesa ngapi?
That sounds like Magak.
Novice.
Magak, you can hear you.
Somebody.
Oh, that was it. Thank you. So one of the reporters, once you have everything, one of the reporters is going to be live dashboard. So let's just copy it right here and go back to our source code. If I'm confusing you, just let me know. So we were here. We saw Phoenix router dispatch start. If you go back to the ETS, it's actually a function right here. Phoenix logger, Phoenix router dispatch start. And it's called when we have Phoenix router dispatch start. And it's being called by the logger. So there's something that's actually calling this function. If you go to GitHub, then you can find it right here. Let me know if you're lost on the way. So we have Phoenix logger and a function called install, which lists a couple of handlers. Then for each handler, yes, Chantel, generator.
Please zoom in.
Oh, okay. How do I zoom in? There you go. How about now? I hope you can see. So there's a function called install, which is in Phoenix logger. It lists the handlers, then it calls telemetry.attach. So how telemetry works is you need to register your telemetry, then you attach an event that is going to handle that particular event when it happens. So this is the event, and this is what is going to handle it. So you do for each of these, attach this function to that particular, attach this event to this particular function. This is going to be registered in the ETS table. All right. So what we registered right there was Phoenix router dispatch start, and it's going to log the level processing with this. Then it's going to do the log module, maybe action if there's an action in there, then parameters and pipelines. Go back to your terminal and just check. That's okay query. Oh, I need to redo that so that it can reoccur. Where's our localhost? I can click on that. Yes, processing with this, then parameters and pipelines. We are able to find out exactly where Phoenix gets this. So all logs in Phoenix are usually done through telemetry. You do not call it directly on telemetry. At what point do we call install? Again, we can come and search from within our application. We can do logger.install. Search. Oh, it's under Phoenix. So when you're starting up Phoenix, you do all this, then you check if the logger is enabled and just call install, which is going to call all that. Any questions so far on that? Any question? Let's go and look at, now that we have all that and it's now being emitted, no one really cares about it at the moment. Our blue lady is, she's not yet started looking at the fine prints of how you've been performing. So you've just been throwing them around. Every time you finish, you just write it and put it somewhere. So one of the reporters can be the live dashboard. So Phoenix live view and Phoenix right now comes with a live dashboard. So if you go to your application and go to dashboard, let's hope it works. Oh, for the first time, live coding is working on live demonstrations are working. So at home, you're going to see something that looks mostly like the Observer that we had before. So if you go to dashboard, you're going to see the Elixir version, Phoenix version, memory usage, the number of atoms, the memory that atoms are taking, binaries, how much the ETS is taking. Under metrics, again, you will be able to set up the metrics and the duration that it takes. Request logger, if you check on the metrics, you're also able to add your own metrics and look into them. This work was done, I think, by someone called, adding this was done by, that was by this particular project. Thank you, Brandon, for doing that. He added all this, so we'll be able to refresh and see if this works. Applications, the same as what we said in the Observer, only that you do not have the ability to look deeper into it. It's only the tree, not a lot you can achieve from this. Processes is a list of all the processes, same as what we have in the Observer, the ports, same. Sockets, ETS, let's look at the ETS again. So our ETS was the telemetry handler table. Here it is, but again, you can't see the content of the table, but you can see that the table is right here. There's telemetry in, there's open telemetry standards, which almost all Elixir, a lot of the Elixir applications use, and one of them is Ecto. So Ecto is able to give you a lot of events, and you're able to look into the performance of your database as much as possible using this, and you can see that from our handler, the dashboard. So these are just part of the few things that you can see. The cache sheet table, it's a lot here. So for the database nerds, you'll be able to understand what's going on in your system. So we have, I think this should be 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we have 10 particular connections that are currently ongoing. All logs. If anyone understands any of this, you can just unmute and let us know what it is. I'm not a database man for any given. Yeah. Questions so far? So that's our live dashboard view. Any questions so far? So I'll show you how the metrics work and how you can make sense of them and how to add metrics to your particular application. Because good here you go. Yep, there you go. Can you see two applications, the dashboard on one side and we are displaying a completely different thing on the other side?
Yeah, we can see that.
Awesome. So let's go to the metrics. Let's start with the source code. Check. You can run this in the background. Open this up. I'll just start with the mix file. So just snatch it. To telemetry. Just snatch it again. Awesome. So there's a file called telemetry in Phoenix that whenever you generate a new Phoenix application, so it enables you to start up with telemetry and tell it whatever it is you want to see on your dashboard. So in our case, whenever you init, you give it the polar, which we have nothing for the periodic measurements at the moment. So we're not going to use a lot of this. But for the metrics that we requested, we want it whenever the chef says, I'm ready, or this is ready, we are able to do this. Whenever the customer receives their meals, we are able to do this. So I think you can now get the analogy. So for the database metrics, whenever we do a query, total time, we want to record that. Query decode time, we want to record that. Query time, queue time, idle time, we want to record each and every one of these. So have a look at this right here, then we go back to the dashboard. Okay, now let's go back to the dashboard. Metrics, Phoenix. Am I at the right place to reload? Did we suspend the server? Yeah, server, I think the server was suspended. So if you remember the metrics that we added, it was query total time, the decode time, the queue time, idle time, and all that. So let's play with the application and observe what happens on this other side. So we can come home. How to play? Let's just play the application, leaderboard, up here. Okay. Yeah. Oh, what happened? How to play? So you can see things are moving on this other side, and it's being updated in real time. The same applies to your Phoenix application. So whenever it receives a request, dispatch stop duration, so that should also be able to update in real time. Any questions so far on this?
I have one question.
Yes.
Is the data persisted, or does it get reset when the application restarts?
I'm not sure about that. Honestly, I do not know if that's the case, but I'm assuming that the moment you stop the server, then everything disappears. Yep. That's actually the case. If you stop the server, then all these metrics disappear. That's for the live dashboard. Any other question? So that's using the live dashboard as our backend or as our consumer. Let's talk about Prometheus, Grafana, etc. So thank you, Andrew, for asking about persistence. Now, we have something called Prometheus, and Prometheus can actually be used to scrape all these metrics. So you can set up Prometheus, scrape the data and possibly pass it down to or up to Grafana, which is going to display something similar to this, depending on the kind of dashboard that you want to display. So you give it the metrics, it's going to scrape it and push it to Grafana for you to be able to consume. So that's going to be more of a permanent thing that you're going to be able to see. So there's a library by Alexander. It's called Promex. Promex actually makes it easy to integrate Grafana and Prometheus in your Phoenix and Elixir application. You can have a look at it. Do I have documentation for it right here? I should be having it. Promex. Alex Goodness. Nah, it's giving me what I want. Hexdocs. Perfect. So this is Promex, and it's going to be able to, let's just go to the dashboard screenshots. Exactly. So you'll be able to see the Beam stuff without actually starting Observer. So this is going to be in Grafana. You'll be able to see this. The actual things that you are looking at, the metrics that we are looking at, you can have such beautiful Grafana graphs of the actual activity that's going on in your database. If you have Urban running, this is what you can have. Again, the same metrics, you do not have to change a lot of things. It's the same metrics that gives you these beautiful graphs whenever you put it up to Grafana and you use Prometheus for scraping that. Also, live view can do the same if you have Broadway. So I would encourage you to go read more about Promex, and if you need, I can share more documentation on the Promex library. I can see there are a lot of charts in here that I was not able to read. Oh, 7 minutes to go. Oh, sorry, I wasn't able to see this. Is there a way to determine the time taken for a specific query? Good question. I think if you use tags, then that should be the case. you should be able to know exactly how long it takes for the query that you target. So telemetry allows you to add tags. I can search for tag. Yep, it allows you to attach tags whenever you are emitting. So you can decide, if you have a look at the source code, then it should be execute. Are we doing telemetry.execute or I need to remember what you are doing here. Let's just search. I don't have this super brain. Telemetry dot execute. Nah. It should execute. Yes, perfect. So I've honestly lost my train of thought, but the router, whenever you call the router, it executes Phoenix dispatch start and gives it the measurements and all the metadata that it needs. Then this is going to be consumed by someone somewhere else. Yeah, so if you attach any metadata that you need or you do tags, then you should be able to track your specific query. Any other question? Oh, thank you so much. Unless there's a question, I'll hand it over to Juliet. Oh, before I forget to mention, the observer that you saw, there's also a CLI version that runs purely on the terminal. So it's observer CLI. Yeah, it is. So there's an observer CLI that runs on the terminal. I hope there's a screenshot. Yeah, there's a screenshot, so you can see it on the CLI. So this means you can SSH into your instance and do this if you don't need, if Grafana and Prometheus is an overkill for your application. But you still need to debug and see into it. Let's hope that Grafana makes our blue lady happy so that she's able to know exactly how much food each customer eats. That's how much time each request takes, for example. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Sigu, for that detailed talk. Thank you very much. Before we discuss, I'd like to invite Chantel. She has a little message for all of us. Chantel?
Thanks, Juliet. So I don't know how many of us know this, but Elixir Kenya is part of Elixir Conference Africa, a wider African community that aims to create awareness among Elixir enthusiasts in Africa or tech enthusiasts. So we usually hold annual conferences. We started in the year 2021. So we'll be having ours next month. Yeah, next month, May 25th. And on that note, we won't be having our monthly webinar to cater for the conference. So I'd like to urge you to kindly RSVP. If you have a talk you feel like you can share with a lot of people, enthusiasts mostly, you can also sign up to be a speaker. I'll be sending the links before we leave. If you can be able to sponsor the event, feel free to do so. Yeah, thank you so much, Juliet.
Thank you so much thank you to everyone for joining us for our talk. We do hope to see you at the conference. We'll have even more sessions with even better networks. Thank you for your time. Do have a lovely rest of the day. Enjoy. Bye.
Bye. Juliet,